Okay, right. Let me just put that down. Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody to the next in the series of Challenges and Solution. And this one is going to be focusing on recruitment and retention. And there's many reasons for this, which we'll go into shortly. But thank you ever so much for giving me some of your time this afternoon. And yeah, there's no doubt, based on the other Challenges and Solutions webinars that we've done, you get a lot of value from it, which is great. So a little bit about the structure. We'll start with a bit of an introduction, take you through the reason for the topic, talk about challenges and solutions, and there's a lot of new faces actually today on the call. So I'll explain how we go about that. Sharing those challenges and also some of the solutions to overcome them in a short while. Previous webinars that I've done in the Challenges and Solutions series have focused on how COVID has affected learning and the changes that we've made and the opportunities that we've found. We also focused last time on women in leadership too. So as you'll probably pick up on, is because I'm in a very privileged position to sit across almost 40 local authorities in Premier Partnership as the relationship director. I get to see a lot of challenges that councils are facing and having to overcome. And I'll see challenge A over here replicated in a different local authority, but they're being addressed in very different ways. So that was kind of the idea that kind of inspired me to put this series together, because I thought, come on, let's network together. You know, you've got people dealing with different challenges, shared challenges in very different ways. So that's what this event is designed to do, and we're focusing on recruitment and retention today. We're very fortunate as well to be joined by the guest of honour, Martin, who I'm going to introduce in a short while. But yeah, no doubt you will get a lot of value from this hour that we spent together. Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. First off, obviously we're on Zoom. You received the invitation. And everyone should be a little bit more familiar with Zoom than when we've started doing these. But if you are unfamiliar, don't worry too much. We're not going to go into breakout rooms, not too much functionality. We'll guide you through anything that needs to be done. If you can, it would be great to have your cameras on, but obviously on mute as well, because obviously the background noise don't want to be too distracting as we're going through the session. Little tip as well, if you have got your microphone on mute but you wanted to contribute, just hold down the space bar for the time that you wanted to contribute, and that will unmute you. As I have said, we are recording this, so that's because a couple of people haven't been able to attend today, unfortunately, so I'll be sharing the recording with them. There's been a couple of people emailing me this morning saying that we're unable to attend, so I'll be sending that out to them and also sharing it with my wider network. So when you are contributing, just have that in mind and be mindful of that. As I say, that recording will be made available. We'll be using the application Mentimeter, and I'll be asking you to go to menti.com to contribute to some of the challenges and solutions. Questions that I'll throw out there later, but don't worry about that for the moment. We can cover that off in a second. And then just to reiterate the aim again, it's really this series of webinars is to create that community for people responsible for developing people and organisations to network and discuss common challenges and share those ideas and tips and solutions to overcome them. As I say, this one is about recruitment and retention, so really fortunate to have so many of you join, and there's a really good wide range of people and job titles here as well. So we've got people from HR, OD, learning, management tiers, resourcing, so it's really great that you have all come together. And because you're all going to be tackling challenges and coming up with solutions in slightly different ways. So yeah, contribution is key for this one. So yeah, why are we doing this? The reason for the topic, as I say, I see a lot of shared challenges being tackled in different ways. And I have definitely seen an increase in the amount of requests that we're getting from clients to assist with recruitment and retention strategies within their organisations. The remote factor is is real, definitely. We're all having to talk to these screens, but that's opened up quite a wider talent pool for people, for organisations to recruit from. So whereas people might be hamstrung and not being able to get to a certain location, now we're doing a little bit more remote working. The talent pool has widened up. Also focusing on skills, because a lot of these interviews, panels, etc., are being done remotely as well. So we've had a lot of requests for assistance on that. Because people have been pushed online as well, organisations are more and more using social media to market their organisations, to attract that talent too, and also keep hold of it. Technology is being used increasingly to aid recruitment and retention. Diversity and inclusion has always been a factor within recruitment, but even more so, it's even more prevalent over certain societal factors that have happened over the last 2 months. And then the last point there as well is, in honesty, we're getting some fantastic feedback from some of the events that we've been putting on, and that is due in course to Jason and Martin, who have kindly joined us on this call as well. We've been doing a lot of values-based recruitment training for some of my clients within the London boroughs. And Martin and Jason have been fantastic in providing solutions for them. So, and we've been getting fantastic feedback too. So much so that we've written case studies and testimonials to go with that. So just as a natural kind of segue, I'd just like to introduce our guest of honour today is Martin Spendlove. His original background was in recruitment, but now he's a freelance L&D consultant working with our great partners at Learning to Excel. Martin's going to be here to add his insights, his fantastic experience, maybe challenge some of the things that get shared, and really just add another layer of value that you get from this hour. So I'll just hand over quickly just to Martin to introduce himself.
How long have I got? I mean, I'm staring at myself on the screen here. Hi, everybody. I'm Martin Spendlove, and I've been training people for, I would say, a decade and a half, 14, 15 years. Kind of starting to lose count now. I started with long-term unemployed people. So I left recruitment, and I found that I had a bit of a knack for training people in employability skills. So I started by running community job searches in Northamptonshire, because that's where I live. I live in Kettering, Northamptonshire. And I did that for a couple of years, moved to the NHS. So I had some third sector, then public sector experience. And I was a trainer for the NHS running non-clinical training. So management leadership was a big undertaking for the NHS in Northamptonshire. So that's a lot of what we focused on, plus things such as conflict resolution, fire awareness, things like that. That's interesting. And then I moved to a company called Travis Perkins Group, largest builders merchants in the UK. And so I had the pleasure of going cross-sector again and moving from the public into the private sector. And I worked on a huge national change management project involving a lot of people who had been in roles for many, many years, moving across to a new brand. So the experience there was very much a behavioural thing. It was an attitude thing. And it involved a lot of people being experienced in quite large upheaval. And then most recently, I worked for a company called Corden Group, and I was their learning development consultant across the UK, up and down, left and right, all across. And again, lots of stuff in relation to recruitment and management and leadership, again, was a big focus for us. So that's me. And now I'm freelance working with Jason, which has been an absolute pleasure so far. And Kyle, of course, thank you for having me.
No problem. Great to have you along. Thank you. Okay, right. So with no further ado, what we're going to do is get straight into it. The series is called Challenges and Solutions, and rather than kind of shout it out, what we're going to do is push you over to go on to menti.com. If you haven't used it before, don't worry. You can either access it via your mobile, your device, or your laptop. If you go to menti.com, then it'll ask you for a code, and I just double check this code, so it definitely does work. 10 minutes before we came in. If you enter this code, it will give you it'll show up a question, and you've got three words that you can put in. So let's just move that out of the way. The question is, what skills need developing to assist with recruiting and retaining in your organisation? So what we need to do is think about the challenges that your organisation face and try and condense it down into a one-word answer. Don't worry, we'll start extrapolating some of the answers and sharing them in due course. So as I say, go to menti.com, enter that access code, and just start contributing to that question. Okay. Stop sharing. Okay. So here we go. When you start putting in your answers, it will start sharing in this word cloud. And if we get common answers, then what's going to happen? Let's move that out of the way. Can you see that? Is that perception? If we get common answers, so say if 3 people say about hybrid working, that answer will enlarge the most. So it will signpost what are the most common challenges that we're facing, and then we can maybe spend a little time focusing on those challenges. Hybrid working. Okay, what skills need developing to assist with recruiting and retaining in your organisation? Okay, keep them coming. They'll still keep on loading into this window, but it seems that definitely hybrid working is one of those areas, one of those focus areas, potential skill gaps that organisations are fear when it comes to recruiting and retaining. So if somebody who types in hybrid working would like to elaborate a little bit more on that and some of the challenges that you see yourself facing. And if you just introduce yourself and the organisation you're from, that would be great.
Hi, I'm Gillian from Ashley Borough Council. We are becoming an inland port, which is lovely, except it means that we're going to be recruiting 100 people, some of whom we've just recruited, with very, very different skill sets to the normal local authority skill sets that we want. We're having to do all of the interviews remotely, but the people themselves are working in the office. So it's quite complex that we are recruiting people who I've not met, some of them, and I'm training them. And I need to make sure that I'm giving them enough to make them really want to work with us and to keep them engaged and excited about working with us until we go live in October.
Okay, so keeping them incentivized, ensuring that engagement. So I missed the first part of that, Gillian. Did you say you're recruiting now, but they're starting in September?
Yeah, we've started some already. Originally, we were supposed to go live in April, and then DEFRA pushed the date back to October. So we kept the ones we'd already recruited, and we paused our recruitment campaign just to push it back, and we've just started that again now to get the ones ready for October as well. So we're about 40 people in of 100, I think it's 120 that will end up in total, just for this one new service that we're introducing.
Okay,
so
interesting challenge. So
yeah.
There's almost like a risk of the people that the talent that you want almost dropping out of that line.
Yep.
Okay.
Very much so. Hence the engagement piece for us to keep them, because obviously I had a training program made for them ready to start in April. We were cramming it all in, and then at the last minute DEFRA said no, we'll leave it till October now,
just to make the job a little bit more
so we crammed everything into the first month.
Okay. So what have you found that is maybe working? What's landing with those people, and what isn't so much?
We have got some people who have previously worked in ports and some who haven't. So that peer-to-peer learning from those with that previous experience is working really, really well. What we need is the technology to assist them in that, which we haven't currently got. We're just using files on Teams at the moment, which is sort of okay, but not ideal. But that's working really, really well. We're having regular Teams catch-ups with them, which again is working well. They've got free access to a number of us who are looking after them, who are working remotely. Whilst they are split into 2 bubbles working in the office half a week each, so that they get the opportunity to actually go into the office as well. So, but it's very strange, very strange.
I can certainly can imagine. So a few people have said about hybrid working there. Is anyone experiencing a similar challenge or kind of dealing with potentially those solutions, but with a slightly different challenge at all? No? Okay. Well, we can come back to that. Who else said hybrid working? And if you'd care to elaborate a little bit more on that. We've got a volunteer. No? Okay, not to worry. Right. Let's move away from hybrid working, because I'm sure it's a common challenge that we're all experiencing. So it wouldn't surprise me if we do loop back round to it. Let's pick another one. Let's go for interviewing techniques. Who put that? I think there's some audio issues potentially.
I didn't put into. Sorry, hello. I'm Tracy James, Hampshire County Council Highways. Hi. I didn't put interviewing, but I put training, which was I've been doing some values-based trying to kind of work with values-based interviewing skills in Hampshire at the moment, and one of the key challenges for us is training the managers for those interviewing new staff. So that's why one of mine was training. So that's why that's the challenge we've got is training people to do those interviewing skills. And we've recruited new managers, and I've been with Hampshire now for 30 years, and they come to me and say, Tracy, what do you do next, and how do you do this, and how do you do that, and what questions do you ask, and what tests do you use, and all this sort of stuff. So it's about kind of getting that knowledge out to kind of the manager. So I would, interview for me is about training the right people to be able to do that interviewing. So I just kind of wanted to say that, but I didn't put interviewing down as one of my words.
No, perfect. Thank you for your contribution. I know, Martin, that's part of what you've been doing with the values-based training, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah, Tracy. I've been working with Buchan and Dagenham County Council, and in relation to values-based recruitment, and it's been a very holistic approach.
Yeah.
To the whole thing. They've taken a shift from competency-based interviewing into values-based. Fairly recently, they've been doing it for quite a while, but now this year really taking it seriously with the training. So I supported them from the perspective of the values and the behaviours and the attitude-based stuff. So the process was all taken care of with a system that they've invested in, and they've also done a good piece of e-learning, which takes delegates about 20 minutes to do, and they can do it before or after the face-to-face training. Now that was the tricky part. It was thinking about how we get all of these managers booked onto values-based recruitment training without being able to go into an office. And so what we've been able to do is put together a 1.5 day training. I know that sounds a lot, everybody. Don't get scared. 1.5 day training is actually okay to do on Microsoft Teams if you take the right approach to it. So it'd be great to hear what you're doing, Tracy. The approach that I took was to ensure that it was chunked up. and that people weren't sat in front of their screen for a whole day and a half. So it's I've got to say, it's hardly any different to delivering a face-to-face workshop. And by that, I mean, you can still do the theory piece, you can still do the reflective discussion, you can still do the activity pieces as well. You can do a role play, but what we do is a real play, right, Jason? We love a bit of real play. And what we mean by that is that it's a real life role that they're putting together. They go off into their groups at the end of it and they piece together a person specification, which is based on the values of the organization. It's a really big chunky piece. I think if I was to summarize what I've just said, it came down to having a really clear focus on what it was they wanted to achieve, which was to get all managers through being able to competently run their own values-based recruitment process. They've still got help from HR, of course, but people are coming away from this training, and I've trained 17 groups now since October, and people are coming away giving the feedback that they are able to confidently run their own values-based recruitment and selection process, which is quite amazing. So yeah, it's if you've got any questions for me on that front, anybody on values-based recruitment, on training people through that, I'm happy to go into more detail. But I think as I've got everybody listening right now, I think it's important for me to ensure that everybody's heard and gets a chance. Is that okay, Tracy? Cool.
Fantastic. Okay. So yeah, that is definitely something that I have seen a general slide towards. Martin's mentioned, Tracy's mentioned it, moving from competency-based to values-based. Quite a lot of requests coming through for that. It's something that we definitely are mindful of. I'm looking at a couple of more of the answers here. I don't want to kind of put anybody on the spot to reveal the thinking behind their answers if you don't feel comfortable in sharing, but you know, retaining top talents, that's definitely something that I'll be interested in hearing your challenges about and a little bit more context about. Perception, I think that could be quite yeah, an interesting word, depending on what you meant by perception. And then also qualities as well. So I mean, if anybody wants to contributed one of those three words, wants to share their thoughts and challenges and elaborate, that'd be great for the group.
I could go first for retaining talents. So the reason I put retaining talents, by the way, I'm Ramesh Parvas from Coventry City Council.
Hi, Ramesh.
And the reason I put retaining top, I wanted to put, I put retaining the top talents. The problem we have here at Coventry City Council, we have an aging workforce. And although we are trying to recruit more young talents within the city, because our city is, we don't represent our city in terms of diversity and also young people. And one difficulty we have within the council is how do we retain the talents that even decide to come into the council, because after a year or two we see them leaving. How do we try to retain them in the council in terms of, you know, do we offer them better development? Do we change the way we help them progress their careers? It's just something that we need to work on better as a council to retain our top talents and improve our workforce diversity. I think
two kind of huge factors there to get to grips with there, Ramesh. I can imagine. When you say development, is that through typical L&D or is it through coaching? How are you tackling that?
So it could have different approaches. One thing that we are, so I'm also part of Generation CCC, which is our young employee network. And one thing that we are currently working as part of that network is providing a peer mentoring program to our young talents between the age of 16 to 34. So it is receiving a lot of attention, because a lot of our young employees, they do want to shadow someone in the senior position. They do want to follow someone's step that has been in their position before, and also to know what to know what kind of what do you call that word? Opportunities exist within the council for them, because a lot of times, even when we have internal positions available or we have development opportunities, they don't get to hear about, because we are a large organization. We have different, like 13 service areas. So how do we, the peer mentoring program is a great way for us to network, to help them network with each other across the council, so they won't be matched with a mentor specifically from their service areas. They will be matched with someone outside of their service areas to help them realize what opportunities exist for them across the council. And it will also, because we are right now, in order to progress, we need to wait for a manager or someone about us to leave the organization, but we also want to help them realize that there are other areas within the council that they could move into. So it's more like, what do you call it, a horizontal moving across your career, progressing in your career, rather than thinking, oh, I need to wait for manager to move into another position or progress within my career, whereas there might be another position available that you can progress into faster. So that's some things that we're working on right now.
And with you, that sounds really, really interesting, actually, about the mentoring program, the peer-to-peer. Have there been any kind of big lessons identified and lessons learned through that process? Is there anything that potentially you wish that you might have done a little bit differently, maybe at the start of the process, and changes that you've implemented?
Well, this is the pilot program that we're putting together, and we still are in the process. So we already have identified our mentors and mentees. So the next step for us is delivering the trainings and, for them to start the program. At the end of the program, when we do our pre, mid, and post evaluations, then we're going to figure out what the problems are, or how we can improve this program further, and or even open it up to other employees across the council. Because so this program, we're doing it in collaboration with other networks like BAME and the Women Network. And it's something that we, after putting out the advert out there, we realized that some people came back to us asking, oh, how come they haven't heard of this before? Or they have been waiting for this kind of program like a year or two before. So there's an appetite, definitely an appetite for it. And we're just hoping that this cohort goes well so that we can, improve it and open it up to other employees across the council as well.
Thank you, Ramesh. That's
interesting.
Say again?
I think I talked a lot.
Oh, no, that's perfect. That's exactly what this is for. And just kind of what you were saying there about it being a pilot, I'm sure that there's other individuals that are on this call that have either been a part of something very similar or have seen something similar. So if anybody has anything just to add to Ramesh, or maybe some, I don't know, lookouts to be aware of what she's going through with the pilot, please share.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. Thank you.
Does anybody have anything to add or contribute to Ramesh's challenge there? No?
We'll be building something similar next year, so I might want to see if I can get hold of Ramesh's email address afterwards.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I'll be happy to share.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, and again, that's another reason for doing this is just sharing these experiences. So as long as both parties are happy, I'm more than happy to share those contact details and put you in touch with one another. So that's great. I'll write that one down to do. Okay, so that was great, really, from retaining top talents. Has anybody else would like to elaborate on their contribution of what they put into the word cloud? Who've we got? Who wrote? Well, if you didn't write it, then that's fine. But what do you mean? What do you think about perception as the word? What kind of challenges are people facing regarding perception? is that perception of the organisation, or quite an open word to throw in there? Okay, we'll pause there. Any final contributions on any other words that are in this word cloud to elaborate on the challenges that you're facing with recruiting and retaining?
So my word was succession planning. I'm Scott Tomlinson from Derby City Council. So really in my department, we spend a lot of time training people for the future, but the opportunities don't necessarily link at the same time. So it's the challenge that we have is retaining those people that have been through all the necessary training and development, so they are ready for the next level. So it's really for me about what we can give employees now, so to sort of plug that gap until the opportunity arises. So I think that's sort of the niche thing that we do in our department. It's not necessarily something to do across the authority, but I think what we're finding is we spend a lot of time training people and making sure they're ready, but we often lose people along the way before an opportunities become available. So that's something that we're sort of challenged with at the moment. So it's whether, I don't know, we can have an effective succession plan in place, or align projects to people to keep them engaged until an opportunity comes available.
Fantastic. And so, yeah, putting projects in place. What are the kind of tactics have you found that work in achieving and keeping hold of that talent?
So we're linking them with a mentor or a coach, making them lead on particular areas is a tool that we've tried to deploy. But I think, again, it's really that career path and projection, which I think we struggle to give everybody. Of course, maybe, I don't know, maybe we've set ourselves up too wide a challenge there. But yeah, kind of giving them projects to lead on, or making them a mentor as an example, maybe giving them sort of new staff to develop when they join the organisation. So it's all sort of tools that we have at our disposal, but not necessarily the grade or, you know, the responsibility on a permanent basis.
Sure, thank you, Scott. Has anyone else been in that situation that Scott finds himself in? And if so, what have you got to assist Scott with?
Just while people are thinking, Kyle, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
Scott, it sounds to me like the classic glass ceiling situation. You've got your talent pipeline all set up, yet people aren't moving out of the roles in order for people to move up, right? Is that the kind of situation we're facing there?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen that before. It means you've got a good organisation. People don't want to leave. So I guess that's a good thing. But yes. The other thing is that people do want to progress and people do want to move on. What cross-departmental opportunities do you tend to look into for the organisation? Because, you know, I know some people can see their manager's job and have their eye on that. But what opportunities are there from your talent pipeline that would allow people to move not cross-dimensionally? That would be amazing. Cross-divisionally, cross-departmentally, what kind of opportunities are there?
So, I mean, obviously, other than the usual things like, you know, vacancy sheets and all that kind of thing, there's not many. I think with COVID, not many people are really moving around in our organisation on a permanent basis. It's more, again, they might go for secondments, or they might go and work on a temporary project for a period of time. But maybe we could do with a better tool of showcasing other opportunities as a sidestep or in other areas of the organisation. I think the way that we're working at the minute, it's not terribly visible. So yeah, there's nothing terribly obvious at the moment that I can think of.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's I'm sure it's quite a conundrum to try and solve, and I've seen it before. The organisation that I was working with previously, we'd spend quite a bit of time putting people through these development programs, the high potential programs, things like that, where they get an ILM or similar qualification as part of it. So they get a level 5 or a level 3 qualification, but that didn't guarantee them a job at all. However, the organisation was broad enough and big enough to be able to give people the opportunity to apply for the next job and stand a good chance of getting it. So I suppose, I mean, I'd be interested to know, what kind of analysis have you done or could you do in order to give people an indication as to what their chances of moving up would be? Because at the end of the day, we're putting people into these learning opportunities, which is very time consuming, and it has to be a rich learning opportunity, which I'm sure it is. But what kind of analysis is there that could be done in order to maybe indicate the possibility that, you know, there is or is not a job at the end of it?
Maybe have that, yeah, sort of a clear parameter set out initially, I guess. But I mean, we're taking advantage of the apprenticeship levy scheme, for example, at the moment, which is obviously enabling people to go off and do professional courses. But yeah, I mean, in the end of it, we've got to provide that experience of duration of the course, you know, so that they can use that as evidence, assignments, you know, those tangible experiences. But yeah, I guess in terms of going back to coaching and mentoring training that I've done in the past, having that upfront contracting element perhaps upfront that might say, actually, yes, there's these opportunities for development. However, yeah, the roles may take time to follow suit.
Yeah, it'd be good to get that kind of that organizational indication. You know, how often do first line management roles come up? How often do we get middle management roles become available? Why are they available as well? I think will give you a good indication as to how you can line up the rest of the succession planning and get your pipeline all lined up to study towards something which they know may take some time to get them into a particular role. And if they want to stay, then that's great. They'll stay and they'll do a great job while they can progress and bring that experience with them. However, some people will want to leave, and they'll go and take that experience with them. They may return in the future. Who knows? I think it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it?
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Scott and Martin. What we're going to do, because obviously time's ticking on, is just move on to the next question in here. So what you would be able to see, I'll just stop sharing. We've been focusing on the challenges there, but now what we're going to do is move on to the solutions. So let me just check. Share screen again. So naturally, when I asked that question, the first question that popped up, we spoke about some of the challenges, and a few solutions got thrown out there as well. But what we're going to do now is, if you go back to your devices, the question hopefully has changed to really focusing on how L&D, and I do want the focus on L&D, helps you overcome some of those challenges. So whether it's the challenge that you put into the word cloud, or maybe someone else has contributed, what the Mentimeter will enable you to do is just throw in a couple of words, and again, they'll start popping up, and we'll start seeing some of the successful solutions or L&D solutions that you've seen work within your local authorities to overcome some of those challenges. So I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that. And again, they'll start scrolling through as soon as you press enter onto the Mentimeter. Was that yours, Scott?
Oh, no, actually, but similar.
Okay, as they continue to come through, so yeah, definitely seen a lot of standardization of processes and interview techniques. That's definitely something that Martin, you're working on with clients at the moment, isn't it? And absolutely essential to do, or they've definitely got a lot of value out of it.
The thing with interview techniques, everybody, is that you may get asked a very similar question to me, which is, oh, can I just have a crib sheet of interview questions? And I think it's more important to develop people's ability to think for themselves and to really get down to the nuts and bolts of their criteria. First of all, know exactly what it is they're looking for, and then build the skills from there. So I don't point blank say, no, you're not having my interview questions. I do share some examples, yeah, sure. But I think it's more important to understand how to craft a better question. It's like Tony Robbins says. Tony Robbins, the massive American guy who coaches everybody, literally. He says something along the lines of, successful people ask great questions, and as a result, they get great answers. And I think that's what it comes down to with the interviewing technique, assessment, questioning is a very key skill.
Certainly. I've seen here apprenticeship levy, apprenticeship scheme. I just wanted to link that back to one of the challenges that Ramesh had about putting in these great solutions, interventions to aid with recruitment and retention, but certainly more so retention. But if people aren't hearing about this, if they're not, that information doesn't get cascaded down to them or making it available, then it's almost almost hardly worth doing if they're not taking advantage of it. So how are people almost broadcasting, cascading that information about all of the tactics and techniques that you're putting in to try and retain talent, such as the apprenticeship levy? How's it landing with people?
Hiya, I'm Mandeep from the Kingston Council, Royal Borough of Kingston, I think, and somehow I've just noticed on my video my name showing up as Annie Basin for my 5-year-old son. I think we've been using the same laptop for his home remote learning, so sorry, apologies for that. Coming up to the uptake of the apprenticeship levy scheme, this was something that our council is now very forthcoming and is promoting it quite well. And I've noticed that change within our organization, I would say a couple of years back. It was there, but it wasn't really being promoted very well, like within the team or within the council itself. But I think but now the local authorities are getting this push from the national government. I think that's where the force and the push lies, because within our council, there is lots of emphasis and the importance of this apprenticeship levy scheme, and like they've been able to break out those myths that it's just for the people who've just passed out college or school or who haven't had enough experience. So they've opened up the levels like level 3, 5, 7 managerial leadership levels as well. And I think that with that opening up and making people aware how much it can be of benefit to us, how it can help in the professional development, helping you progress while you're there in an organization, it has really brought forward employees who have taken up, and myself as well. Like I've been with my company, with my organization for nearly coming up to 9 years. It has always been on my to-do list, but I never took it forward because I thought, if my company is not interested, why should I really be bothered? It's okay where I am. But with all this hybrid working, remote working, and you really want to progress further, I have taken it up. And that's when you actually realize how much it can offer you. So I think it's all about how openly the organization embraces such schemes is how these workforce will see as well.
Certainly. No, that's 100%. Needs kind of buy-in from all levels, really, doesn't it, to have that that effect? And it's good that is it Kingston and Sutton wants it.
Yes, Kingston Council, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic that, there is buy-in across the council. That's brilliant. Okay, got time to discuss maybe one more, maybe consistency or learning paths. Yeah, Martin, sorry, go for it.
That's okay. I'm just curious about the reverse mentoring. So that one that intrigues me because I've worked on a reverse mentoring scheme before that didn't work. So, but I see the value in it. I think it's really important to understand that the reverse mentoring, it can be really beneficial for both parties. If you've got a young person, for example, who's getting the opportunity to work with a senior executive in an organization, in a way that they are sharing their ideas, they feel valued, they feel like they're passing on some really useful skills and contributing to the organization, but also getting on side with somebody who's in the executive role. So it can work really, really well. However, I think it comes with a lot of challenges. So I'm interested to know whose is that with reverse mentoring, and how's it going for you?
Hi, that was me again. In an organization, this is something that's just been newly introduced, I would say, and they are asking for people to come forward and sign up to this reverse mentoring program. As you correctly said, yes, if somebody who's just at a beginner's level is signed up with the senior management, there's lots to learn, lots of challenges. And I think from the other aspect, like the senior management, I think they'll get to see the kind of problems or the issues and the concerns a person might face quite at the level in the organization, because obviously we've got lots of layers and hierarchies. So, but as I said, it's yet to begin, and how fruitful or how successful it will be, maybe I might be able to share it if we ever have another session. But as I said, they are still asking people to come forward and sign up to it. But as of now, with all the positives that we've heard about this program, so we're just looking forward to it, how it works.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
I think the reason why ours didn't go the way we wanted it to go was because that nobody was really accountable for steering the ship. It wasn't my project. It wasn't something I was heavily involved in, but I did see it as something that should have had more attention put on it. So if there's anything I can share on that, I'm happy to do so.
Fantastic, thank you, Martin. Yeah, reverse mentoring is something that I have seen quite a bit, not so much as other schemes, more traditional interventions, but yeah, reverse mentoring is definitely is getting increasingly more popular. Okay, anyone else would like to contribute to the L&D solutions to help you overcome these challenges? Anyone got some great advice or tips or skills or something that you've been on that you'd like to share? Yes. Oh, there's chat. Okay, no worries, Anik. See you later. Okay. Right. Martin, just on the challenges that have been shared and some of the solutions, have you got any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to share with the group that's on today?
I think it's been really interesting hearing what's been coming up, and I hope I've been able to contribute well enough during the discussion as well. So there's nothing that really jumps out at me at this point. I think it's the virtual landscape for recruiting at the moment is a challenge in itself, and I would have been more interested to hear more around perceptions. Is that perceptions of self or the organisation or the job markets of the candidate? Is it of people sticking around? I mean, that would have been really interesting to flesh out. So if there's more on that, it'd be great to hear about more around perceptions. It's certainly something that I've got some experience with. But otherwise, no, I think if there's any specifics that anybody wants to give me at this point, I'm happy to support.
So, Okay, if no one wants to share a specific with Martin, what we'll do, we'll stop sharing that. We'll come out of Menti, and let me just bring it back to the presentation. Okay, right. So, apologies. Right, we've done the challenges, covered over a couple of solutions too, which have been great. And then all it leaves me to do is just yeah, thank you all for your time. Thank you for contributing using Mentimeter, and obviously when people have been sharing their experiences and elaborating a little bit more on that. It's great that I've been able to connect a couple of people. So I believe, let me find it. I'm connecting Ramesh with Gillian, is that correct? And I can do that. If anybody else has heard something that has been of interest, or someone said something that you want some further information on, please don't hesitate to get in touch, because that's what this is to do. The event just doesn't finish here. I can link people together, and as I say, just want to create that community between authorities that might not necessarily talk to one another as much as what they'd get value out of. We will publish free resources as well to assist with some of those challenges. But likewise, if you come across some resources that you'd like the group to share, to share with the group, then please let me know, and I can continue to do that as well. There's also learning solutions as well that we can provide. So there's off-the-shelf L&D solutions that we can provide, e-learning packages, specialist focus courses that you might require, or if you've got bespoke learning requirements or bespoke needs for your organisation, just get in touch, and we can put that together, design a course for you, and yeah, get you the learning that you require to support your recruitment and retention. So, unless anybody has got anything else to add, thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I will be in touch with a write-up and recording of this video, so you can share with colleagues and your wider network. Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.